It's Wild Wild Pest, the deep dive podcast about the South's most notorious outlaws.
Palmetto Pete and his posse were the nastiest cockroaches you could ever fear to meet.
Nope.
Trespassing, loitering, scaring innocent folk when they turned on the light.
No thanks.
And that's not to mention all the diseases the germ-ridden no-good-nicks were known to spread.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, but fear not. Terminix was on the case with all the skills, experience, and tools needed to outdraw the outlaws. Learn more at trustterminix.com.
You can't say anything these days, and to prove it, we're going to say it. I'm Harriet Langley-Swindon, and this is Non-Censored. Hello, and welcome to our Edinburgh Fringe Festival. If we sound a bit different, it's because we're not in our usual studio, are we, Martin?
No, we're out on the road up in sunny Edinburgh.
And I did ask Martin to bring up all the right sound equipment, but no, he didn't.
Well, when I was getting on the train, a gentleman offered to help me, and he didn't return my case, so we lost some of the equipment in transit.
Absolutely hopeless. Anyway, if you are up in the Edinburgh Festival, hello, you are our type of people. We have a live recording of our show on the 19th of August. You can get tickets at summerhall.co.uk. It's called Later, but we are the 19th of August. Don't get one of the other nights because it'll be some dreadful comedian that's nothing to do with us. But
no,
also,
you wouldn't want that.
No, they're all rubbish. Comedy is terrible. I don't even know what we're doing here. There's also a live recording in London, isn't there, Martin?
Oh, absolutely. At King's Place as part of the London Podcast Festival. You can get your tickets from kingsplace.co.uk, and that'll be coming up in September. So
yeah, that's the 10th of September. Something to look forward to. Now, everywhere we look, there are eager little desperate comedians, actors, singers, dancers in the street everywhere, hoping to catch the attention of a TV producer. Well, we caught the attention of a TV producer and we got her on the show. Let's have a listen to esteemed comedy TV producer Seamus Chutney. Can you tell us what you're looking for?
Oh, man. This year, we're really looking for the grit. You know, the grit, the raw, the meaty, the edgy, the filth.
Yeah.
And that's our catchphrase this year is we're looking for the filth. So we're following the trail. We're looking for filth. We're, the dirtier the venue, the cobwebs,
So actual filth.
And then that's absolutely up for you to determine. But yes, of course, if it has a 1 sanitation, we're probably gonna go check the show out.
The lowest of all of the sanitation awards. Yeah, okay.
There were 2 rats at our 2 dead ones actually, and I think that really added to the show. So, yeah.
So would you, look, I don't want to question you because obviously you're a great TV producer. So you're looking for essentially sort of homeless people to be on TV.
Okay. And I didn't say that.
Okay.
That was
right.
you. That was you. No, right. I think we're looking for sort of a derelict. We're looking for, has someone been backpacking for months and they just sort of happened upon the Fringe and they thought, I'm going to do a show actually out of my hostel right now, right here, right now. And they're just going to improvise with the shirt on their back.
But Seamus, what about comedians who've worked very hard by going to Oxford or Cambridge, learning their craft
know what those places
of comedy? Right.
It's quite edgy. It's quite raw.
I'm a bit worried about this edgy and rawness because I just think about what about people who've had education and have learned their comedy? Is it just...
Right. I think there's been a time for that.
Right.
And now we're looking for the warehouse show where there's an electrical problem and everyone's at risk. There's a gallon of water above everyone and it's, when's it going to pour down right around the socket? Who's going to get shocked? Which was a show I saw last night at underneath Patterhouse, under.
I heard
in a small, dimly lit, what was only lit by one match.
Are you sure it was a show that you saw?
Unclear. I loved it.
Yes, there's always ambulances coming and going from the venue.
Yes, there was a crime took place there shortly after.
And anyone involved in the crime, you thinking of picking them up onto your show?
I'm really hoping to recruit one of them.
Yeah.
Gorgeous performer.
Wonderful. Has there been any other shows that you've seen so far that you that really caught your eye?
There was a robbery at the train station, and I chased them down and I said, I love what you're doing. Can I give you my card? And they actually took my purse. So hopefully they'll find my card in there and they'll give me a call. But they do have my phone. And so...
How long are you out here for? Are you worried about the danger to yourself? It sounds like you're really taking this quest for new talent quite seriously.
Well, I really like to really put myself out in the field. And since I got my identity stolen last night, it is unclear how long I'll be here since I do need a passport to travel back to the States. So that might mean I'm here indefinitely, which is really exciting because I have wanted to relocate since a messy breakup.
Messy breakup, is that your messy breakup or a show?
No, that's a solo show.
Okay.
That I
So,
was
messy breakup.
optioning around. Yeah.
Right.
Soho said absolutely not.
No,
So I'm a
dear.
producer. Yes.
Why did they basically trying to cancel your show?
They found me, what was the direct quote? Completely devoid of talent.
Right. That sounds like cancel culture to me, Martin.
Well, they're certainly
Because
trying to
people have-
stop you from performing.
People have said that to me before, and I think, wow.
And what do you do?
You're trying to stop. Well, I don't listen to them. I go, well, if you're going to say that I'm talentless or reactive or downright problematic, then I'm going to take my wares somewhere else who will appreciate me and who aren't scared of me. Because that's what it is. They're scared of you.
Well, no, because the other pull quote said weak, both in personality and in performance. They said she's generally a weak person.
No, see, that screams to me, we are scared of this American lady.
Really? Okay,
Yes.
it must have been a language that I thought we spoke the same language.
It does mean
There's
the
a
same
really
thing on both sides of
Americophobia.
the Atlantic.
What does
but
weak mean in the UK?
Just not
and it is
strong.
the UK, or is it the UK?
Oh, I think you can put the stress on either one.
Terrific.
It's fine.
It's up for grabs.
Well, you could always just start a podcast if you like. It's, no one can stop you from doing that. That seems to be a popular
We
idea.
find that with our podcast, I mean, we do a podcast of our radio show, and
Right.
it's just a way, really, isn't it, Martin, of spreading the message out far and wide.
Yeah, it's a bit like shouting into a bag at times, isn't it? Just
But a bag with lots of little people in it.
Oh, now write that down. That's a show.
This is the thing. I'm very good with words. That's why I'm so successful at my job.
Right.
Yeah.
But to be a true performer, the words need to be accompanied by talent, which Solo
I
Theatre
also
said
have that.
I didn't have.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
No, and it's okay. I'm a producer now.
But listen, Seamus, I wish you all the best.
Thank you so
with
much.
With your fringe endeavours. I hope you find the next big thing, and I hope you don't get killed trying to find it.
Thank you. You guys can catch me. We're doing an open call at the Royal Mile underneath the sewage system. The password is Hoinky Toinky. Meet me down there at 2400 hours. I'll be doing 3.5 hours of open calls.
Martin, this next guest I need to speak to you about. So
Yes.
obviously we wanted to have a critic on the show who could maybe recommend some things, tell us what sort of things they were looking for. And you got this absolutely bizarre man from a publication I'd never heard of before. I asked to get someone from The Spectator or The Guardian, and that's not what happened.
It was, I think something was a bit lost in translation there. We did actually get Conrad Erguston, who is a very esteemed critic, but from the Spectacle Guardian. It's a lesser-known publication, but he has some very strong thoughts, and I think that comes across in the interview.
Conrad Erguston, as an esteemed comedy critic, what have you seen so far at the Fringe that's really caught your eye?
Nothing. How could anything? The most important thing about being a comedy critic is to work for the theatre department and have nothing to do on the day comedy is on. Comedy is a bastard, weak art form, to be taken in silently and contemptuously, and as a result I've seen much that has caught my eye, yet none which has brought the glimmer of a smile to my stone-like face.
Conrad, what about Jim Davidson?
Well, obviously he's very funny. I like the things he says about the brown people. I find that amazing. It's so well observed. That's how they sound. I've never met one, but I'm reliably informed that's what they do.
So what are you looking for What to you would be a 5-star comedy show?
Well, you see, we're always on the lookout for more working-class voices, specifically performed by very moneyed-up students impersonating our working-class voices. So what I'm really looking for is probably a sketch group with a bunch of young, strapping lads who really remind me of my son and went to school with my son, being terribly amusing. I love that one. I like them. They're good.
That would be 5 stars in your
Absolutely
book.
5 stars.
Wonderful.
You've seen that's the name of the group. Have you seen their Cockney sketch? It's incredible.
No.
It's genius.
It does sound very funny.
I'm informed. That's what they say.
It's quite hard to spell, though, if you're trying to find.
Oh, well, it's hard for them to spell because they can't afford to be educated, the poor wretches. They can't afford teeth. Have you seen them? I haven't.
But they can because they're Oxford educated.
Oh, of course they can. It's amazing what they do. Oh, it's funny. They black out their teeth if one's allowed to do that.
Yes.
Don't want to be accused of black teething now, do we?
And what to you would be a 1-star?
It's the very notion.
Producer Martin, who is this man?
He can hear you when you do these.
I'm enjoying these theatrical asides. However, I prefer it if it's done really just on the level.
Face, of course.
Yes, I did once see a production of Romeo and Juliet that was staged without Romeo or Juliet, just the ampersand. And one of the most satisfying productions of, lettering that I've ever seen. Very little of the bard, just the punctuation. Marvellous. Yes, the most important part is it was joyless and expensive and reminded me of when I was at school learning about these things. Excellent.
So joyless and expensive, is that for you what you look for in a good comedy show?
There's no such thing as a good comedy show.
Right.
If it was a good comedy show, it would be theatre.
Yeah, I see.
And theatre, of course, is usually dreadful, but that's the purpose of theatre, dear girl.
Yes.
The purpose of theatre isn't to go to see theatre, it's to go up to people in the bar and tell them that they were just marvellous when they weren't.
Wow, we're really getting an insight here. I mean, you've been a critic for many years. Many years.
Yes,
for
it
the
began.
Spectatory Guardian.
That's right. It began when I started alienating my friend group. I said, oh, dear boy, are you going to wear those shoes? Good Lord.
I mean, I already feel a little unsettled.
And that's exactly how it should be. And then I sort of apply a numerical value to you. And as a result, anytime I walk into a room, there's a frisson of fear
Conrad,
among the players.
do you feel that performers are very scared of you?
As they should be. Alfred Hitchcock said performers were like cattle, but he meant in the sense of easily directed. I prefer, however, to see their throats slit and periodically milked backstage. If you follow my drift.
I think I follow it. It's quite a disgusting
I'm
drift.
quite scared by this.
2 stars.
But me?
2 stars. No, 2 stars sitting in front of me across the table.
Thank you, Conrad.
1 star.
Right. Well, Conrad, it's been an unsettling experience
You are not
having
the
you
one to
on the
assess
show.
what this has been.
Right.
Only a critic can assess what this has been. You have merely experienced it.
Right. Well, good luck with the rest of the Fringe, and I will seek out the Spectatory.
What do you mean the Fringe? I didn't know there's a festival.
I will seek out the Spectacle.
What are you talking about?
Guardian.
Good Lord.
And,
did you go to school with my son? Why have we even bothered talking?
And he's left. Okay, he's gone. Yep, there we have it. As you can tell, he's quite mad. We also spoke to a number of comedians about the ever-present threat of cancellation. We spoke first to the comedian Joz Norris about what he feels he can't say because of cancel culture. Joz Norris.
Yes.
You have a show at the Fringe.
I do,
called
yep.
Blink.
Blink. Yeah. It's about blinking.
Yes.
Loosely.
Loosely about blinking.
Yeah.
Is that because you thought you wanted to do a show about other things, but you had to restrict it to blinking because of cancel culture?
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that I really wanted to talk about. Things that just you get shut down as soon as you start trying to make a show about them. So I've ended up having to strip it right back to kind of the most banal thing it's possible to do. Like everybody blinks, without really thinking about it. So I've really been pigeonholed into making a show essentially about nothing. And I think that is because of cancel culture.
Yeah.
I think that's because all the juicier subjects, you can't you can't talk about. You're not allowed to talk about them anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, now, as you know, this podcast is a safe space.
Yeah, and that's great. We need more safe spaces. We need to create that sort of. We need to enshrine freedom of speech and let people say their truth. I think it's really important.
I feel threatened a lot of the time. So to have any kind of safe space really is a real bonus for me.
Martin goes to sit in the cupboard sometimes for his safe space.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good idea. Is it a big cupboard?
It's not that big, no.
Okay.
Sometimes you forget he's in there, though. It's very disconcerting.
I often feel quite threatened going down the street. Seagulls. If I've got chips or whatever and they kind of hover around, I find that quite threatening. Which I guess isn't really cancel culture.
I think that's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's
Seagulls with the wokey left.
Yeah, it's a lot like the kind of threat that we live under all the time with cancel culture,
yes,
or it might just be like my anxiety, and I'm not very good at like going out in public.
No, I think it's cancel culture.
Yeah, it's probably cancel culture. Yeah, it's easier to say it's that than for me to do any work on myself, I think.
So, Joz, what did you want to do a show about? What did you want to talk about that you couldn't? Because you can tell us here.
Well, okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's so hard to speak your truth these days because, people's voices are being taken away from them. I really wanted to do a show about Rayman 2, The Great Escape, the computer game from 2002, and how it's the best computer game.
Right, I'm not familiar with that. Can you explain?
You've never played Rayman 2?
No, I don't.
Well, this is why I wanted to make a show about it, because people have forgotten. You know, there's gaming culture is so huge now, and everyone's forgotten Rayman 2.
He's got a sort of yellow face and arms
he's like a charming rabbit kind of thing.
Did he get cancelled? Is that why we don't?
It's not that he got cancelled. It's that okay. I remember talking about Rayman 2 all the time, all through my tweens.
Oh yes,
it's all anyone could talk about was how good Rayman 2 was, and these days I bring it up, and people do not want to hear about it. I bring it up at parties and go, "Hey, who remembers Rayman 2?" And people go, "What do you want about? Shut up. We don't understand what this is about." Yep. And that's cancel culture. You know, I'm being silenced for trying to talk about how Rayman 2 is actually a really good game.
I mean, listen, I don't want to, because I agree with you, cancel culture is a real problem.
Yeah, it's awful.
Do people not want to hear about it just because it's sort of dull and weird and nerdy?
No, I don't think so.
Do you think it's because they prefer to talk about Crash Bandicoot?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Or some other... Well,
bit more mainstream.
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot more wokey. I don't know about...
Crash Bandicoot would sort of like spin around a lot, which I guess that's quite woke, isn't it? Always
as
kind of...
Spyro.
Yeah.
So
Rayman liked to throw his hands at things. That was his big thing.
That's the thing, isn't it?
You can't really throw your hands at stuff anymore.
If you do that, you're being too hyper-masculine.
Yeah. He was quite a masculine character, actually.
Anymore. No, you have to be a little purple dragon.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
But it would have been great. I would have had, there were going to be characters, there were going to be sketches all based on the plot of Rayman 2, The Great Escape.
And were you going to throw your hands at people?
I never really got that far into the development of the show, because every time I brought it up and said, "Hey, do you like Rayman 2?" people would just go, "Not really, don't know what that is." Once again, I was cancelled. So I'm sure, would have created an amazing set piece where my hand flew off and flew into the audience and maybe like smashed a cage. He was always smashing cages. So I would break a cage or something. I think it would have been really funny.
Do you think the audience would have been ready for Rayman 2?
I think, they were ready for it in 2000.
Yes.
So if they were ready for it then, it's just, it's this whole thing of like, everyone's always trying to modernize, you know? Like, we've always got to move forward. And like, what's wrong with the past? You know what I mean? What's wrong with Rayman 2? Or Rayman 3, Hoodlum Havoc, which came out in 2004 and was also really good. I didn't like it as much as Rayman 2. It seemed a bit too knowing. Like, it lost a lot of the charm of Rayman 2. Rayman 2, it's a French game, and all the characters spoke in a sort of nonsense language. And then Rayman 3, they hired American voice actors. John Leguizamo played Rayman's best friend, Glowbox. And to me, it became a little more commercialized, a little more corporate. This was the sort of stuff I was going to be talking about in the show, trying to get these points across that people have forgotten. People are not honouring their history.
I'm very anti-cancel culture, but I do feel that maybe Rayman 2 should be cancelled.
What?
I've just been finding this whole conversation quite trying.
But you're one of the fiercest advocates of free speech and one of the most fearsome critics of
you're
cancel culture.
right, and
you're
actually-
telling me that me here, speaking my truth and saying Rayman 2, The Great Escape was really good. Does anybody else think that when they brought in American voice actors for Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc, like John Leguizamo, it was a little bit of a shame and kind of spoilt some of the charm of the series? You're telling me that I can't say that. You're just another one. You're just like everybody else.
It's just
You
like-
pretend to be a freedom fighter, a warrior for free speech, but you don't want me to speak my truth. You're
cut
shutting
this,
me down
Producer
again.
Martin? Can we cut this
I'm
from
sorry,
the podcast?
I'm upset. I
Joz.
know it's not you, it's the entire culture, but I feel oppressed.
I don't want our
I
podcast
feel
to explore
threatened.
Rayman 2 or 3.
I think I can cut it out
Thank
once he
you.
leaves, but it's probably best we just calm him down first.
Do you guys want to play a bit? I've brought it with me.
Producer Martin will. I'm quite busy.
We can maybe like play the first couple of levels or something.
Sure. We could do that.
That would be great.
Okay.
You could play it in Martin's cupboard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd like that. Can we fit a PlayStation in there?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Come on, Joz.
Thanks.
Let's
Okay,
get
here we go.
Let's
Here we
get
And we spoke to the comedian Davina Bentley, who rather unfortunately also turned out to be a lawyer. Let's have a listen.
So we have Davina Bentley with us. She is a new comedian navigating the hard and often crushing world of stand-up. Davina, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks so much. I'm not that new, bit new.
Right, Producer Martin, we wanted a new comic.
Fresh. As you still
Fresh.
Yeah, I'm very fresh.
here with a new show.
Right, okay, fresh comic, fine. When's your show?
It's on every day, 7:40 at the Caves. It's called Never Again 2.
Never Again.
2.
The sequel.
2, the sequel.
Do we need to have seen Never Again 1 in order to understand?
No, it's you can, if you know, like on Netflix, it's like they do the recap. There's one of those
At the beginning.
at the
Yes.
beginning.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
So, that's good.
That's
So you
great.
don't need to see what happened in the first one.
Okay, it's actually quite clever, isn't it?
It is rather clever.
That's good.
Now, Davina, as a fresh comedian, do you find it's hard because there's obviously this cancel culture ever looming? You can't say anything anymore. Is there things that you're having to admit from your stand-up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if it's because of cancel culture, but I wanted to cancel people in my show. I wanted to call out like a lot of sex predators or comedians, and you're not allowed to cancel them because of defamation law. So that's and
No,
also
that's Sorry, that's different. No, that's different. You're trying to cancel them.
Yeah.
So therefore, they need to protect themselves, and if they've got the money to do so, then why shouldn't they use the money? That's like saying if a man has arms and he wants to pick up a
dog,
and you say no, you can't use your arms.
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
That'd be rude.
You
wouldn't it?
have to pick up the dog with your head.
Sure.
That's what you're suggesting they do.
Well, as well as being a stand-up, I'm also a lawyer. So just briefly, like on okay.
Producer Martin, you did not do your homework.
I didn't think it was going to come up.
Yeah, it's come up. It's come up big time. And I'm just saying that if I wanted to call out, say, a famous comedian as being a sex predator on stage because they were a known sexual predator, but they'd never been prosecuted in the courts because they had very aggressive lawyers, I couldn't say that on stage.
You could say it here. This is a safe space.
No, but we don't call out sexual predators because some of them are nice.
Some are fans of the podcast, aren't they?
Some are fans of the podcast.
I heard some. Isn't your largest
We've got
demographic
a lot
sexual
of
predators?
sexual predator fans. I'd like to say hello to all of them. Thank you for your continued listenership. It's very valued, and please continue to do so. There's always bits in here for sex predators.
I'm going to have to edit this out, aren't I?
No, Martin, come on, let's not alienate our fan base. And some of our fan base are sexual predators, but not all sexual predators are bad, Davina. And so maybe you should, if you're going on you want to cancel them all, maybe think about how some of them are nice.
Yeah, no, look, I take your point.
Yes.
I do take your point, and I think that Martin's sweating quite profusely.
I get deeply uncomfortable when I think that someone might sue us.
Yeah, no, you should be, because you don't have the money to defend a lawsuit.
I mean, clearly.
What do you mean we have money?
There's some money in the war chest, but the war chest
But you're
is
right, we
running very low
are
at the
forever
moment.
fighting very hard against cancel culture and to protect these poor men who are being cancelled, I'm sorry, by people like you.
No, I mean, I'm saying that I would like to cancel them, but I can't because I don't have the money to. Say one of the big law firms who do this sent me a letter saying we'll take everything from you. I wouldn't be able to defend, I'd have to remove that stuff from my show. But look, I know it's really hard to get an audience. And I think that's the important thing here is that...
We have an audience,
no, I know.
Davina.
But as a lawyer, could you not defend yourself in a kind of Erin Brockovich type style? I haven't actually seen that film, but I imagine that's what she did.
She does. She
defend herself?
She does sort of lawyer things while wearing a low-cut top.
She had cracking knockers. I mean, I think that there's the fundamental difference. Erin wasn't a lawyer, and she had amazing boobs, and I am a lawyer, and that's the difference. So, but she wasn't actually qualified, whereas I am qualified.
Right.
But, if I was a good enough lawyer to defend myself, I probably wouldn't be doing comedy at the Fringe talking to you two.
Oh.
Right. Do you see? If I was capable
sort of self-burn there, wasn't it? It was a little self-burn.
Self-burn. We can keep that on the podcast,
we can
can't
keep
we?
that on the podcast,
I think that's fine to keep that. Especially it will balance out some of the sort of rather controversial things she was saying about trying to cancel men.
Let's not go back over that.
No.
Sorry, I don't hate men. I looked at...
Well, you've got a problem with sexual predator men, and they are a large portion of men.
No, they absolutely are, especially in the comedy community.
Yes.
And I like the tall ones, and I like the handsome ones.
Yeah.
So please don't get me wrong. And I like the ones who are
Also,
nice to
some
me.
sexual predators are funny. And are we supposed to discount their jokes because they're sexual predators?
No, I don't. Look, please, I don't think that. But look, can I say there's other things? It's not just sexual predators.
Okay.
There's also I want to do some fun accents in my show.
Right.
Ooh.
But what accent? I stopped doing a Spanish accent in my show, and then I saw an act yesterday. What were they doing?
A Spanish
A
accent.
Spanish accent.
Now,
and I felt like a fool, didn't I?
This I'm on. You can't do silly voices.
I think...
I'm not allowed to do my Jamaican accent anymore, am I, Martin?
I don't like it when you do it. Can I just ask, was the person doing the accent Spanish?
No, they were very much not.
Okay.
And I'm not Spanish, but I do have thick black hair and a swarthy look about me.
Well, listen, Davina, we're going to have to wrap this up. Before we do, would you like to do your Spanish accent on this show?
It's
because
a safe
you
space.
can.
I mean, I do a really good West African. I do a good Ghanaian accent, so I don't know if.
That's not what we
I think
asked
that's
for.
wonderful.
That's not what we
wait,
asked
I
for
want to
at
hear
all.
that.
Are you saying do the Ghanaian?
No.
I don't.
Yes, I think.
I mean, it's like I do a no.
Spanish
No,
is
Ghanaian. Let's
probably a
go
bit
for the
much
Ghanaian,
anyway.
I think.
I think it's running out of
Oh, it's...
What's is the tape?
Yeah,
What's happened?
well, we don't record on tape because
sorry.
it's not the 80s. But
Shall I do my Jamaican one again, Martin?
I would love, personally, sorry, I would love to hear that. I know you're asking your producer, but can I hear your Jamaican accent?
Yes, certainly. So it is...
Next time on a very spooky fine dining podcast, the season 1 finale, TGI Fridays the 13th. Oh, you betcha, pineapple's gonna hit the fan as Michael's son Juicy, or in this episode, Juice son Voorhees, goes on a murderous rampage and no one is safe. It gets real spooky, it gets real bloody, and not everyone's gonna make it to the end of the episode. Who will live, who will die? Listen to Fine Dining, the search for the most mediocre restaurant in America, break down a trip to TGI Fridays based on the atmosphere, the service, and the food, and try not to be scared to death. Hear the thrilling finale of Fine Dining, Wednesday, October 25th, wherever you get your podcasts.
We also spoke to a comedy director. We spoke to Ben Target, who is...
It's Target. I believe it's Target.
What?
Sort of like a French Target, you know.
I thought he was British. I thought we were speaking to a British director.
Well, he's a performer and a director, but I think he just prefers it to be pronounced Target.
Horrible. Anyway, let's have a listen. We have comedy director and performer Ben Target with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me in this safe space to talk about stuff I hate.
Thank you. This is a safe space.
Yes, absolutely.
Appreciate it, guys. Listen, as a comedy director, I often ask my acts, what do you hate? Mm-hmm. That's where the big bucks is, hatred. Mm-hmm. And as a misanthrope, I think you should be allowed to hate anything and everything, especially people. So whenever I come across an act that doesn't hate stuff, I'm suspicious and I think you've been got by cancel culture. You've been got by the virus, you're sick.
Absolutely.
Have you noticed this with your acts?
Oh, all of them are sick right now. They come back to me and they say, "But Ben, we should be able to like life. We should be able to like people." But I just don't believe them. Life's too scary not to hate.
Do you worry that this is the problem now with cancel culture on comedy? Is it's basically stopping people from hating?
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is a fundamental human right, right?
It is. I've been a professional hater for all my life, and I just think, if I wasn't allowed to hate, there'd be nothing for me to do.
Yeah. Do you feel scared talking about the things that you hate on stage or in your work?
No, I think it's brave. It's brave to be mean. It's brave to point out that things suck all the time.
Yes.
Have you ever come across something that you perhaps didn't hate, like a particularly nice sunrise or
other mythanthropists? My brothers in arms. Only the male ones, because they're the only ones who really sort of understand the ferocity that hatred takes.
Right. Okay. So other people that hate things and people in general, you're kind of on board with them.
So you've got a little club. Is
Tiny
there a
club.
little club of men who hate things?
Yep, we
Any
meet
women
up.
who hate things?
Only ones that enable us.
Right.
The ones that are willing to facilitate our hating.
Yeah, the best sort.
Yeah, absolutely. We meet the Haters Club. We meet every Tuesday.
Does it have a name? Is it called the Haters Club?
It's called the Haters Club.
The Haters Club, right. Straight to the point. Says what it says on the tin.
Very much so, yeah,
It says on the tin.
We meet every Tuesday because we hate Mondays too much.
Right.
It's the sacred day, Monday.
Like the Boomtown Rats. Bob Geldof, he hated Mondays.
And just another manic Monday. That was also a sort of dig at Mondays, wasn't it?
Is it someone else?
That's the Bangles. Just another manic Monday. That one.
Quite rare that you sing on the show.
Well, I just think this is a creative Ed Fringe special. It's time for people to hear that I have other talents. Ben, would you be interested in directing a show with me? Maybe I could sing about things I hate. I hate lots of things.
We could do a musical. What sort of things you hate? What's your top 3?
Oh, top things I hate. Small, weak men.
I don't know why you're looking at me when you say that, Harriet.
Sorry, you're in my eye line. Refugees. And Meghan Markle.
Wow, that's a great shortlist there. I agree with all of you.
Thank you.
Do you hate great short men like Napoleon?
No, I think Napoleon is an exception because he's not a weak small man. I think he was a strong one. Mm-hmm. Did some wonderful war, lot of warring. I think if you're warring, you're not weak. You're making up for it. I think really short men should go to war. Really, otherwise, what's the point of them?
So you're a big fan of Putin?
Yes, I think Putin's a bit been misunderstood. Really, I mean, let's look at him. He rides a horse, looks very majestic. He's
got great abs.
He's got great abs. He's spoken out in defense of J.K. Rowling. He's done a lot, and yes, he's made a few missteps recently. Let's not, I don't agree with what he's done with Ukraine, but I think also. Let's look at this nuance.
Listen, let's be honest. Annexing anything is not a simple procedure. You got to just give the guy a bit of time.
Yeah. Yes, this is very true. Now, Ben, you do have a host of very controversial acts.
Yes.
Katie Pritchard.
Katie Pritchard, who wanted to do...
Always very controversial.
Very controversial. A lot of people might be aware she's a trained West End singer. She wanted to do songs of the Third Reich.
See, why can't they let her do that? Why not?
I don't know. I mean, people just don't understand nuance anymore.
Yeah.
They think nuance is only something for love.
Yeah.
But, there's nothing nuanced about love is love. Love everyone. There's only... hate is the only nuanced thing in the world. And that's largely because drone bombing is really accurate these days.
Brilliant. I'd love to hear a song about that, about drone bombing being really accurate these days. Drone bombing is very accurate these days.
I'm not sure we'll be able to.
Interesting fact: the singer Anoni wrote a great song about drone bombing called "Drone Bomb Me," and then I found out that Anoni had transitioned, and I didn't like it anymore.
I think that's a really good reason not to like something.
Yeah, I just don't like people lying to me about their gender.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, Ben, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say while you've got this chance to be in a safe space before we wrap up?
Listen, I think people should have permission to hate humans because we're scary.
Yeah.
And we deplete the ozone. We take a lot of breaths. We use up a lot of oxygen. I just think we should try and be more like whales. Whales only breathe once every 3 hours. You know?
That is very impressive.
Just a thought.
That's very interesting. I mean, we'll look at the science behind that and maybe go into it later.
It's really positive to hear you talking about science like you believe it exists, Harriet.
Martin, I just think it's good to get both sides. I'm all for research, and I also don't like the idea of holding my breath for 3 hours.
And then after speaking to Ben, we spoke to one of his protégés. We spoke to the comedian Katie Pritchard. Let's have a listen.
Katie Pritchard.
Hello.
You have a show on at the Fringe?
Yes.
6 o'clock?
Yes.
Disco Ball?
Yes.
Is it the show you wanted to do, though?
Not entirely, no. I wanted to do a show exclusively about vegetables, and I wasn't allowed because of Brexit.
Oh.
That's really upsetting.
Yeah.
And could I ask why Brexit sort of stopped you from being allowed to?
Was it more the Europeans because they're trying to stop Brexit,
or there weren't
and they
enough,
were also stopping your show?
There weren't enough maybe foreign labourers to come and pluck the jokes that you'd sown?
Yes, to all of these things.
Yes.
And more specifically, the lettuce wasn't available in the shops anymore, so I couldn't do...
It's because of the Europeans.
I see.
It's the Europeans.
I think I see what's happening.
They're trying to sabotage Brexit.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they're sabotaging comedians' shows.
Exactly. And so I've had to spend the last 2.5 years rewriting all of my vegetable material to be about fruits and desserts. So it has been a tricky time navigating the landscape there.
That's devastating.
Yeah. Thank you.
We did have your director in, an interesting man.
Yeah.
Who mentioned actually wanted to do a show about the Third Reich.
Yes, because famously they ate a lot of vegetables, but we couldn't do that anymore because of the vegetable issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been really tough.
And you went for disco, a disco ball.
Yes.
Instead, and this hasn't sort of brought up any problems?
No.
No one's tried to cancel you because of that?
No, not yet. We did float an idea of using new metal balls, but everyone thought that would be a bit too much, and we didn't want to tip the scales the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when metal's involved.
Exactly. And when you're an edgy comedian like I am, you have got to be careful about to tipping the balance in the wrong direction. You don't want the wrong kind of people coming into your show, coming in, being all offended because of the vegetable material.
Do you feel that lots of people would get offended by the vegetable material?
Oh, 100%. We've had a lot of walkouts when I was working on the show before, which is why we had to change it to fruits. And now seem to be attracting the right kind of people, big fruit fans coming in.
Katie, what vegetable in particular did you really want to talk about?
Well, I'm not even allowed to say its name.
This is a safe space.
Unless it's racist or really...
I know,
that's fine as well.
I'll probably cut that
I've
out.
been given a subpoena that I can't even say this vegetable's name.
Could you say what it rhymes with?
Annette?
I have no idea what that is.
It's a loose rhyme. If you looked on Rhyme Zone, it would come under loose rhymes, not exact rhymes.
Is that
A
pear? A le?
It's probably... Is it a vegetable that we're trying to find?
A lettuce.
That's a very bad rhyme.
It's good that you couldn't figure it out, because if I appeared in a recording with you saying the word, that would even be bad for the...
That's very fair.
We don't want to get you cancelled.
No.
I mean, it's hard enough with the woke left, sort of, they're sort of wafting around the fringe like little ghosts, trying to peck at little comedians.
This is it. And famously, I don't like ghosts. They have no place in my show.
Yeah.
None. whatsoever.
If you don't mind me jumping in just to ask a question, you spoke briefly there about getting the right audience in and not getting the wrong audience in. What makes a good audience member in your show?
Someone who is prepared to come in, listen to my material about fruits and desserts, and stay there while I do it.
An obedient person.
And not throw things at me.
That seems fair.
What do they throw at you?
Well, they've been throwing tomatoes. Apparently tomatoes fits in the fruits bracket.
It's not a vegetable.
It's not a vegetable.
Oh, wow.
Technically
oh, goodness.
fruit.
And this wouldn't happen if you were doing your show about vegetables, because they wouldn't bring tomatoes. They'd be
bringing harder stuff. So that's why we've changed it to fruits.
Goodness.
Fruits are famously softer than vegetables.
That's a good idea.
In the most part.
Katie, do you think you're representative of most performers at the Fringe?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think a lot of performers are similar to me in that they go out there every day. They say things they vehemently believe in. They talk about the big issues, like desserts and fruits. And they go home and have a nice little sleep.
So that's good to know, because I think we were going to talk to quite a few performers, but maybe we don't need to.
No, I think Katie's very clearly indicative of all of them.
Yes.
Especially the tomato throwing.
Would you say I'm a voice of a generation?
Yes, I'd say you're a voice of a comedy generation, specific niche generation.
That is great, because I have been looking for more poster quotes, so
you can use that.
Thank you so
Harriet
much.
Langley-Swindon, voice of a comedy generation, and then in a lowercase, that's quite a niche generation. Katie, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with the Fringe.
Thank you.
And of course, we had Eshaan Akbar on the show. He wasn't in the festival with us, but he was there in spirit. So we talked to him about his hot and spicy takeaway of the week. Now, Eshaan, of course, even though you're not at the Fringe, we still, of course, had to bring you in for our hot and spicy takeaway of the week, or rather, sorry, Eshaan Akbar's hot and spicy takeaway of the week. So what is it this week?
Well, as you said, I am in London, but I'm observing everything that's going on at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And the hot and spicy takeaway of the week is this. The Edinburgh Fringe is the halcyon of capitalism, and every person who performs there is an arch capitalist. Ultimately, Edinburgh is there to do a good thing, make money for people, and everybody who goes there to do it is supporting the making of the money for the people.
Right, that's very interesting. I am, because it's not known for being, it's an arty festival. It's full of sort of wokey, often poverty-stricken performers. Are they all capitalists, but just bad ones?
Exactly. They're just bad at it.
Right.
See, what it is a lot of these artsy types, the reason they become artsy types is they're not actually very good at knowing how to behave in a well-structured economy. So because they're not very good at those things, they're like, oh, I'm so artsy. That's what I do. I do this for the art. But they're not going there and not charging people, are they? In fact, I know that some of them, they say, oh, we won't charge you when you come in, but I'm going to hold a bucket or an Eisenhower machine so you can pay me. Everyone wants payment for their art, don't they? No one does it for free.
But could you argue that these performers are getting exploited by people who are charging them rent?
You only get exploited if you deserve it. If you don't read the terms and conditions, no one can exploit you unless you deserve to be exploited. Now, look.
I like that. I think I'm going to make that into a fridge magnet.
I'm not sure
Absolutely.
that should be made into a fridge magnet, actually. I don't think we can say that everyone that's being exploited deserves it. That feels
you'll
like
get someone to make the fridge magnet. It might be a Chinese child. They're not being exploited. They're giving them gainful employment. Now they'll make a fridge magnet and they'll get paid for it and feed their families. I mean for goodness sake.
My problem is less
Martin,
about the creation of a fridge magnet and more about the sentiment of the phrase.
Yes, but Martin, it's like I say to you when I make you cry. If you're upset That's you. That's not me.
That's your own fault.
Yes.
Yes.
And similarly, if you're being exploited, that's you. That's not me.
I've never been exploited.
I might give fridge magnets to all of my staff, actually.
I mean, that would be usually quite a kind thing to do, but considering the message on this one, I'm not sure how that will... Well,
I think it's a very positive message. I think it's very important to make people believe that they're able to rise above any quote-unquote exploitation. Just have a bit more faith in yourself. You know, if you go up to the Fringe and you pay £12,000 to stay there for the month, well, it's a complete privilege, surely. You're contributing to the economy of the landlord. You're at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival being able to perform for just £12,000 for the month. Come on. What a privilege and honour that is.
And the thing is, everyone can afford that nowadays. Come on, it's chicken feed.
And here's the thing, with artsy people, they don't like working hard enough. Here's something I've noticed, because they just want everything handed to them on a silver platter.
Yeah.
I'm one of these people, like, you know, they talk about mental health recently. Things have been quite tricky for me, so I decided to sign up to this Borrow My Doggy scheme. And my mental health is in such a good place. She's a beautiful little black Labrador called Lucy.
Oh, how lovely! I've got a black lab called Lucy, actually.
Yeah. So, and the owner's husband is away somewhere, but the owner's wife, Jane and I, we walk in the park, and it's just really good. Clears up my brain and enables me to just focus on the things I need to focus on, art, whatever it might be. And I feel like artsy people don't do things like that, do they? They don't. They just want to, yeah.
I mean, what? My wife's called Jane.
Is she?
Yeah, this is what a coincidence. You're not going for walks with my wife and my
Jane.
dog.
She's a brunette called Jane, and
you've seen pictures
black
of
glove.
my wife. You've talked extensively about how much you've seen pictures.
She's doing very well. I can tell you that she's doing very well.
Eshaan, I really don't know why you want to keep hanging out with my boring sister.
Because she is beautiful, and she's actually
come on now.
When you allow her to open up, when she opens her chakras up to me, we just feel like very connected.
I don't like the sound of that. Anything.
And then we had a good.
Ends well.
We had a very good chat about the Fringe, actually, and she also agrees that she thinks her husband's a bit of an idiot for going up, because he obviously isn't.
I'm sure that's not what she said at all. I've got to say, Eshaan, I'm I respect you as a political pundit in a way, but I'm not sure I like this crossing of the personal boundaries.
I don't think. I'm just saying. I do it for my mental health, and I'm just saying this because I know a lot of wokey, lefty, artsy people are going to listen to this, and I'm just saying, sign up to a Borrow My Doggy scheme. Walk a black.
Okay, I'm going to steer this off now because I'm really bored by it. I don't care what's going on with my boring sister and her boring dog/child. What I want to talk about is the festival and performers, and whether we think, in fact, they're not the apparently free-spirited, hippie people we've all been led to believe, and are in fact cold, hard, greedy capitalists.
There is no difference between the performers at the Fringe and bankers.
I like bankers. I don't like performers.
Understandably, because
apart
bankers...
from Dame Judi Dench.
Okay, fine.
Dame Judi is.
Yeah, she is
Dame
good.
Judi Dench.
She is good.
I think we can all agree on that. Yeah.
The thing is, bankers don't pretend to be good people. That's the thing they say.
McKellen's up at the Fringe.
What?
Sir Ian McKellen. He's up at the Fringe. Just remember this.
What is he? I thought he was dead.
No, very much not. He's doing a Shakespeare. Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
He's doing Hamlet, isn't he? Which is really stupid. He's too old to play Hamlet. I don't like how they keep mixing this up, trying to take...
Have you noticed how old white performers never die? They never die.
Interesting, yes.
Ian McKellen is what, 173?
Yeah. Dame Judi Dench.
Yes.
She's 158.
I think maybe
Maggie
I should
Smith.
start
Maggie Smith
some of these
is 700.
Yeah, there's very old people. There's so many old... I don't... Because I'm not white, right? But I am impressed by how white people of a certain age, over 95 plus, are able to keep performing and working, and that they do it at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival because they're also arch capitalists. Everyone's an arch capitalist. That's the thing, is they only do it for the money, not the love.
I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but I do feel like I have to disagree somewhat. I mean, we've only been up here at the Fringe for a few days, but already the people that I've met, they don't seem very wealthy. From what I've heard, they sometimes pay, maybe double, even triple what they're paying for their normal London rents, which they're also paying as well. And on top of that, a venue fee and costs for printing posters and flyers. And then
the more you spend, though, the better for the economy it is.
Yes, exactly. Speculate to accumulate. That's what we're doing here. Speculate to accumulate.
That's what they're all doing.
Speculate your own money so that the government can accumulate.
You've got to be in it to win it.
And these
to win it.
And these free Fringe people, Producer Martin, they stand outside with their little bucket, and I see it, and they've got loads of little coins in there, and I go, no, actually, you said this was a free show. I'm not going to put money in your bucket.
Absolutely. Yeah, what they don't want is for you to put your hand in and just throw in some praise. No, they don't want you to put your hand in and throw in some money. You can't throw praise.
It's disgusting.
And you can't buy sandwiches with nice words.
Sometimes I take the money from their bucket because I go, no, sorry, I sat here for an hour and I listened to your stupid
Instead of buying sandwiches,
mental health.
Make your own sandwiches.
And you can see all the performers we've talked to. You can see Davina Bentley in Never Again 2. You can see Joz Norris in Blink. You can see Katie Pritchard in Disco Ball. They're all at the Fringe. So if you're here, go and see them if you are so inclined.
Now, next week, the show will be slightly later. It will be coming out on Saturday because we are, of course, doing a live recording on the Friday. And we are joined by very special guests. I'm so excited she's coming on, Martin.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting Nadine Dorries.
In the flesh.
In the flesh. The Culture Secretary at the Culture Festival. Just wonderful. So that is another week of Non-Censored. I thought that was a bloody good show, didn't you, Martin?
We got through it, and you know what? It hasn't started raining. So for me, that's a win.
Please do remember to subscribe and to leave a lovely review. We want a lovely review.
Oh, yes, that's it. You know what to do. Hit the 5 stars. That's what we're after. And why not write some nice words, some nice reviews that I've seen people leave for other shows is they did a really good job. Also, I like it.
Thank you for that, Martin.
With thanks to Rosie Holt, Brendan Murphy, Eshaan Akbar, Hannah Pilkes, John Robertson, Ben Target, Joz Norris, Katie Pritchard, Davina Bentley and Ed Morrish.
Until next time, I'm Harriet Langley-Swindon and this has been Non-Censored.